Part 19. Global Copy, My Talent is Called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy Has Bad Luck. Chapter 181. Stunned. Everyone was stunned, staring blankly at Lu Zhaoqi, who didn't care about the group competition. Wang Meng slowly flew back to the ring. Because he sensed the danger, the golden light emitted by his innate ability was slowly extinguished. He himself was a little stunned by the punch. What did this guy eat growing up? So powerful. If he hadn't activated his natural ability to reduce most of the damage, he would have had to see the school doctor just with that punch. On the first day of class, the teacher was sent to the hospital by a student, but the teacher himself asked for it. Isn't this a big joke? It's also that Rongcheng is a bit far away from the imperial capital, and what happened in Yuehui's circle over there hasn't spread yet. If he knew that the student in front of him was Mr. Lu, who single-handedly quelled the chaos in Rongcheng, even if he was beaten to death, he would probably dare not speak out arrogant words and let Lu Zhaoqi hit him with all her strength. He looked at Lu Zhaoqi with a look of disbelief. He never imagined that such a monster could appear among this class of students. Lu Zhaoqi also looked at him with an innocent look on his face. He had already figured out Wang Meng's strength before punching, so the punch was naturally calculated and would not exceed his ability to bear. It is impossible to use all your strength, so I just try to deal with it. Wang Meng coughed, his face remained calm. He nodded and said, "Very good. You go down." As he spoke, he took out the roster, put a red circle on Lu Zhaoqi's name, and picked up a pen to write an evaluation, but after a while, he still couldn't write a word. In the end, I had to start ordering the next wave of students to come on stage to continue the test. At the end of the first class, Lu Zhaoqi expressed that she was satisfied. Although this teacher only did a basic test, Lu Zhaoqi still learned a lot from other students and teachers that she lacked. He has kept many practical tips in his mind, just waiting to go back and slowly explore them and turn them into something of his own. Suddenly, his steps stopped. Not far away, an exquisite person was looking at him with a smile. It was Chu Yuxun. She was wearing a JK outfit today, with two ponytails and white silk stockings pulled down to her thighs, giving her a vibrant and youthful look. It attracted a lot of people's attention. Lu Zhaoqi knew that this woman was not easy to mess with, and he had a bad feeling the moment he saw her. However, there was only one road here, so he could only bravely walk forward, hiding in the crowd and pretending not to see her. Obviously this method won't work here at Chu Yuxun. She strutted up to Lu Zhaoqi and stopped him. A pair of peach blossom eyes blinked and asked, "Should I call you classmate Zhang, or should I call you classmate Lu?" Lu Zhaoqi's photo was entered into the campus network. Chu Yuxun discovered him immediately and naturally found out that his name was not Zhang Jinfu at all, but Lu Zhaoqi, the top scorer in the National College entrance examination who once caused a sensation. But there was no anger in her heart after being deceived. Instead, she became more and more happy and very satisfied. Top scorer in the college entrance examination. If I take him down, sister, wouldn't it be Ziliu? Seeing the charming expression on her face, Lu Zhaoqi felt as if a pool of spring water was about to drip out of her eyes. I couldn't help but feel excited. Not good. This woman. She lusts after my body. He quickly took 2 steps back and looked at Chu Yuxun with a serious face. This kid. Please respect yourself. While Lu Zhaoqi was entangled with Chu Yuxun. Jizhu, an independent residence in Hongshui University. A familiar girl was holding a thick book and slowly flipping through it. Dong dong, the knock on the door sounded. Come in. The girl's clear voice was like a spring of clear water. Wu Ma opened the door. Second miss, the eldest lady invites you to go home for dinner. The girl paused while turning the book, and a sneer appeared at the corner of her mouth. Then what trouble is the old woman going to make? Wu Ma lowered her head and said nothing. This was a war between two masters, and as a servant she really couldn't speak. The feud between them can be traced back to 20 years ago. Zhao Xueqing was not born yet at that time. The head of the Zhao family, who was traveling in disguise, fell in love with a girl with a smile like a lilac. However, he has already been engaged. The marriage partner is a direct descendant of another family, a very tough-minded woman. After a series of bloody plots, Zhao Xueqing's biological mother died in depression, and she was forced to leave the Zhao family and grow up in her natal family. "That's all right," the girl sighed and closed the book. "Get the car ready. I want to see what she wants to do." Looking at the graceful figure gradually disappearing, Lu Xiaoqi shook her head. What a strange woman. Surprisingly, Chu Yuxun didn't pester him too much. She had a very good sense of scale. He just exchanged contact information with Lu Xiaoqi and then waved away coolly, which is hard to make people feel disgusted. Just as Lu Xiaoqi was about to leave, her cell phone rang. He raised his eyebrows and realized that it was Wang Yanran who hit him. Lu Xiaoqi's hand shook slightly and she almost threw the phone away. To be honest, the person he is most afraid of seeing now is her. After all, there is something wrong with people. But he took a deep breath and answered the phone. "Hello. MS King." The voice on the other end of the phone couldn't tell the difference between happiness and anger. He only said lightly, "Now, come to my office immediately." After saying that, Wang Yanran hung up the phone, leaving him no chance to speak. Lu Xiaoqi held the phone with a troubled expression on her face. He was afraid of meeting Wang Yanran, but now that someone had spoken, he seemed to have to go. Lu Xiaoqi knocked carefully in front of the familiar office door. "Come in." Lu Xiaoqi opened the door. Immediately besides Wang Yanran, there were 4 other people, including the middle-aged man with a big belly from before. He saw Lu Xiaoqi come in and gave him a weird smile that understood everything. Lu Xiaoqi's heart skipped a beat. Oops, what happened before came to light. Naturally, it was impossible for him to confess to her about the trouble he made at Wang Yanran's door. If he confessed, where would he still be alive? He chose to avoid the important things and cover up the facts. In this way, he was severely punished by Wang Yanran. The matter is a bit big, let me panic first. Lu Xiaoqi's eyelids twitched, as if he had an ominous premonition. Just when he was feeling uneasy, Wang Yanran spoke. Her cold face showed no expression. She pointed at Lu Xiaoqi and said lightly, "Let him participate in our college's competition this year." Lu Xiaoqi. What happened? When the middle-aged man heard this, he showed an expression of sure enough. Others frowned. Wang Yanran, are you kidding? I have never seen this student before. Could he be a new student just admitted this year? One of the women glanced at Lu Xiaoqi and expressed her objection. Are you going to let a freshman participate in such an important competition? Global copy, My talent is called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy Has Bad Luck. Chapter 182. What happened to the new students? Have the new students eaten your rice? Who are you looking down on? Lu Xiaoqi was indignant in his heart, but on the surface he remained calm and stood quietly in the office listening to their discussion. Competition, what competition? Very important? Except for the middle-aged man, the remaining 3 people were obviously very dissatisfied with Wang Yanran's request to use a newcomer to participate in the competition, and they all raised objections. Wang Yanran remained calm, and after they finished speaking, she said calmly, "You asked me to recommend a student to participate, but now that I have recommended it, you have objections. It's really not possible. Our Secret Arts Academy won't participate. You 4 academies can just attend." When the woman with the biggest opinion heard what Wang Yanran said, her eloquent words suddenly got stuck in her throat and she could no longer utter a single sentence. "Dean Wang, I hope you don't have personal emotions when working. Another thin man said in a deep voice, we are not against you allowing students to participate in competitions, but you have to give me a reasonable explanation, right? As a newcomer, what qualifications does he have to participate in this global adventurer competition? Just because his name is Lu Zioqi, Wang Yanran said. Lu Zioqi, several people were stunned, this year's top scorer in the National College Entrance Examination. Not enough, the man shook his head, this reason is not enough. No matter how outstanding he is just a freshman who has just entered the Adventurer Academy. We cannot place our hopes on someone we don't understand at all. You know, the training of a team is not that simple. No, you misunderstood. Wang Yanran shook her head, what I mean is that we only need to send him. Others don't matter. Everyone's eyes were fixed on Lu Zioqi. Lu Zioqi. Do you think too highly of me? I'm a little panicked when you look like this. Besides, I'm not in the mood to participate in this fishing competition, it's just a waste of time. With this skill, wouldn't it be delicious if I cultivated immortality at home? Lu Zioqi coughed and was about to politely refuse when he heard Wang Yanran whispering in his ear, the credits earned by participating in the competition are enough for you to go to the Holy Court dungeon 10 times. Then you didn't tell me earlier. Lu Zioqi's eyes suddenly lit up. You know, in Adventurer Academy, the thing that is more useful than money is called credits. What's the use of this thing? First of all, if every college student wants to successfully graduate from school, you must earn 10,000 credits. Secondly, you have to enjoy the school's resources. Yes, you can exchange for credits. The school's unique dungeons, training grounds, training rooms, and various training resources. As long as you have credits, you can exchange for a large number of props at school for practicing, and you can even exchange for some top quality equipment, materials, etc., and many of them are precious materials that cannot be exchanged for outsiders. This shows the importance of credits. How to obtain credits? There are two main ways to obtain credits. First, listen to the class. Each teacher has a certain amount of credits in his hand, and can grade the students who attend the class. Credits will be awarded based on the student's performance, and the credits will be settled every month. Each student can earn up to 500 credits per month from a classroom teacher. Second, complete the task. The school will announce some tasks from time to time, either from the student union or from the teachers. Usually they collect materials or hunt designated monsters to collect drops for research. The model is similar to the Adventurers Guild, replacing rewards with accumulated credits. There is no limit to the points you can earn in this mode. As long as you have the ability, you can earn countless reward points. But there's an obvious problem. If you want to take on tasks and earn credits, you must first download a copy. But for school copies, you have to pay credits to download copies. Therefore, generally speaking, freshmen cannot use the second method. They can only use the second method to earn credits after they have completed 1 month of courses and earned their first pot of gold. Lu Zioqi is actually not very interested in earning credits or not. Anyway, his training resources are basically inexhaustible, and he doesn't pay much attention to things in school. However, the prop's golden apples needed to restore his sister's talent awakening can only be produced in the school's Holy Court dungeon, and he must enter this dungeon to obtain the designated drops. To enter this difficult level of dungeon, he must pay enough credits. So the problem comes back again. He has to earn enough credits so that he can download the copy. So when he heard that he could get credits by participating in this competition, he was immediately interested. Lu Zioqi looked at the 5 people in the office with a serious face, patted her chest and said, "It is our duty to restore the glory of Imperial University. Teachers, please let me, Lu Zioqi, participate in this competition. No one knows the game better than me." In fact, he had already guessed the identities of these people to some extent. Based on his previous knowledge, he already knew that Wang Yanran was the dean of the Academy of Secret Arts at Taikyo University. And the few people who could talk to her with this attitude were mostly dean-level figures. 5 deans. That the middle-aged uncle was a little embarrassed and said tactfully, "Classmate Lu, I can understand your mood at the moment. But you have to understand that you are just a freshman entering the academy now. This competition is not as simple as you think. You may not have what it takes yet. Then what kind of strength do I need to be recognized by you? Let me participate in the competition." Lu Zioki looked at the middle-aged man who spoke with bright eyes. The woman from before sneered, "You can participate if you want. You have to know that your spot was given to you by Wang Yanran. It represents their secretarial academy. Each of our colleges sends out to compete their most elite talents. If you want to participate in the competition, you have to prove that you are no worse than them. I don't have high demands. As long as you can pass the graduation examination of the Secret Art Academy, we will let you participate." The middle-aged uncle raised his eyebrows when he heard this and couldn't help but glance sideways at the woman. Isn't this too demanding? What she said was obviously to make things difficult for Lu Zioki. After all students who can pass the graduation examination have graduated. Who will stay in school and compete? Moreover, Lu Zioki is still just a freshman and hasn't even been assigned to a department yet. You just start asking others to take the graduation assessment. Isn't this making things difficult? The others didn't speak, although they all felt that doing so was a bit excessive. But they don't want a freshman to participate in the competition. This is a global competition. It's not like children playing house. Okay. No problem, Lu Zioki agreed. What is the content of the test? The middle-aged uncle was also a little speechless. How dare you agree to take the exam without even knowing what it is about? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Global copy, my talent is called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy Has Bad Luck. Chapter 183. The time for the assessment was set for 3 days. The 4 deans briefly exchanged a few words and then left, leaving Wang Yanran and Lu Zioki in the big office. Lu Zioki scratched her head, turned around and asked, "Aunt Wang, why are you so fat?" Wang Yanran, ###. "Aunt Wang," she snorted in a rather unkind tone. "Try shouting again. Isn't this just to show respect for you?" Lu Zioki didn't take it seriously. "You are almost a round older than me. Is it okay to call you aunt?" In addition to registering students' personal information on the campus website, there will naturally also be information about teachers and deans. Lu Zioki didn't pay attention to the others, but he paid special attention to Wang Yanran's information. No need to say much else, just remember one sentence. My sister will always be 18 and as beautiful as a flower. Let's discuss our own affairs from now on. You call my sister sister, I call you aunt. At this point, he muttered, this allows Zhao Sueking to take advantage of me. Try shouting again. A gloomy smile appeared at the corner of Wang Yanran's mouth, and murderous intent filled her eyes. Try it or die. Lu Zioki was not stupid. He cleared his throat tactically and began to change the topic. Well, what exactly is the content of the Secret Arts graduation exam? The reason why he deliberately provoked Wang Yanran was not accidental. Because he thought about the scene just now, he felt that this woman seemed to use him as a gun. That's why he deliberately took revenge on her. You can tell by looking back at the situation just now. These 4 deans seemed to want to force Wang Yanran to do something based on the candidates who participated in the competition. But Wang Yanran was well prepared and sacrificed Lu Zioki's king bomb with her backhand. That's why the middle-aged woman deliberately made things difficult for Lu Zioki. But what secrets were hidden inside, Luzioki knew too little information to analyze it. But this didn't stop him from feeling a little unhappy, so he teased Wang Yanran a few words. When it came to the secret skill test, Wang Yanran put aside her personal emotions for the time being, glanced at Luzioki, and slowly said, "The normal secret examination is divided into 4 items. First, theoretical knowledge. Don't worry about this. They won't test you for this. You haven't attended class for a whole day. If you take this test, it won't be difficult. They still have to be shameless. The second item is to test students' team support ability." At this point, she paused and continued, "I believe you can pass this item easily." Luzioki knew clearly that it was Zhao Sueking's little girl who betrayed him. His auxiliary skill Holy Protection has only been displayed in front of 4 people. Zhao Sueking, Xiao Yan, Zhang Heng, and the unknown female assassin. These 4 people have not only seen his auxiliary skills, but also experienced them personally, so they naturally know how powerful he is. Since Wang Yanran said this, she must have understood his abilities, so she dared to assert that Luzioki could easily pass the test. Xiao Yan, Zhang Heng, and the female assassin have nothing to do with Wang Yanran. The only one who can reveal information to her is undoubtedly Wang Yanran's best friend, Zhao Sueking. Snored. This little traitor. I have to take good care of her later. Luzioki didn't speak and looked at Wang Yanran quietly. Although he had already taught the cold little girl a lesson several times in his heart, his face remained calm. Wang Yanran naturally ignored his active heart and continued, "The third item is to test your healing ability." As she said that, she took another deep look at Luzioki. "I know you already have this." Wow, Zhao Sueking, you idiot. Take your life. The fourth item is a little troublesome. It's a test of your spell. Humph, there's something you don't know, right? Wang Yanran. Wang Yanran frowned slightly. This item is relatively unpopular, so it doesn't matter even if you don't know how to do it. Someone slaps you casually, and 999 plus appears directly on your teammate's head and he lies down on the spot. At this time, you take out the staff with your backhand and hit Avid a grinning big melon. The enemy's panel was directly reduced to a defense of 2000, an attack power of 1000, and a blood volume of more than 20,000, and it was equipped with multiple debuffs of dizziness, poisoning, and blindness. This shows the importance of spells. Most spells have no attack effect and will not cause damage to the enemy. Of course, a small number of spells with certain attack power are not excluded. This type of skills can be called spells. Freshman students who have just entered the school apply to take the graduation examination of the Academy of Secret Arts. Whether intentionally or unintentionally, this news quickly spread throughout Takeo University, causing an uproar like a giant stone dropped on calm water. "Brother, how can you, a little solar adventurer, grasp my secret?" In a blink of an eye, the situation was reversed, allowing the enemy to play GG. Your teammates are overjoyed, and they directly take out their hands and strike at the enemy. 12 sword strikes per second, and the sword strikes a critical blow. The so-called spell. And you who made outstanding contributions just waved your sleeves slightly. Ahem. Luzioki coughed twice and interrupted Wang Yanran's words, with a mysterious smile on his face. As long as you do well in the first 2 tests, the last one doesn't matter. It is a special skill used on the enemy that can reduce the enemy's combat effectiveness. Everyone is talking about it. He was imprisoned in place by the special effects again and fell into silence. For example, it can bring debuff to the enemy, such as poisoning, confusion, blinding, and dizziness. Well, many girls couldn't help but light up when they saw his personal information, thinking that if this person dared to take on such a challenge, he probably had 2 skills. Or clear away the buff gain on the enemy. The relevant information about Luzioki was quickly pulled out. A native of Chengdu, the country's top civil and military scholar, with a sunny and handsome appearance, and a height of 1.78 meters. But the effect they exert is more terrifying than attacking the enemy directly. Or add special effects, such as vulnerability, defense breaking, weakness, silence, and imprisonment. When the matter is over, brush off your clothes and hide your merit and fame. Many boys sneered at it and said, "You are a clown trying to please others." How happy! I think I can still be a little bit hotter. Think about it, when you meet an enemy with a defense of 5,000 plus, an attack power of 3,000 plus, and a vitality of over 100,000. The effect of your teammates hitting others is, -1 -1 -1. Global copy, my talent is called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy Has Bad Luck. Chapter 184. He's just a clown trying to please others. Chu Yugzun raised her eyebrows and listened carefully when she heard the man next to her making such disdainful comments to the person involved in the secret arts graduation examination. She didn't say anything to refute, just smiled slightly, and her slightly narrowed peach blossom eyes were like a bottomless cold pool. Interesting. Lu Zioki. This junior student who had stirred up troubles at Takeo University when he first entered school piqued her interest even more. "Ah! Man, you successfully caught my sister's attention." Ding. At the end of the class, Chu Yugzun put away her books and walked out of the classroom. After getting off the teaching building, she suddenly paused and raised her brows slightly. Because at that moment, she saw a pale boy standing under the banyan tree under the teaching building. His face was haggard and his eyes were bloodshot. He stood quietly on the playground alone, ignoring the passers-by and staring closely at Chu Yugzun, who had just walked down the stairs. Oh, how annoying. She shook her head slightly, did not shy away, and walked up to the man openly. When the people next to him saw this scene, they seemed to be used to it. Instead, they laughed in a low voice, as if they were making a bet with others. "You soon, I." The man spoke slowly, his tone was a bit difficult and his voice trembled slightly. Before he finished speaking, Chu Yugzun interrupted him gently, "Don't call me Yugzun." She lifted up one side of her hair charmingly and said softly, "There is no relationship between us anymore, just call me classmate Chu." The man stared blankly at her with the same moving expression as before, and opened his mouth, but couldn't say anything. He only felt that his heart ached to the point of death. The whole figure seems to be submerged in the sea, almost suffocating. "Have you got nothing to say?" Chu Yugzun glanced at him lightly, as if seeing an unrelated stranger, "Then I'm leaving." As she said that, she turned and left. "Wait," the man shouted hurriedly. Chu Yugzun stopped and looked back at him quietly. The man took a deep breath and said solemnly, "I just want to know if you have ever liked me." Even just a little bit, his tone was decisive and seemed to be pleading. Chu Yugzun smiled, turned around, approached him, whispered something in his ear, and then left gently, waving her sleeves without taking away a single cloud. The man stood aside for a long time, then suddenly fell to his knees, raised his head in grief and anger, and shouted to the sky. "No. There should be BGM here, snowflakes are falling and the north wind is blowing." 3 days passed in a flash. The Takeo University arena is packed with people at the moment. Because today's assessment was held in the arena, everyone wanted to see what kind of person the freshman who dared to initiate the graduation assessment just after entering school was. Does he have 3 heads and 6 arms or 1 head and 2 arms? Even many teachers have expressed concern about this. Especially the secretarial college teachers. Their thoughts are not as simple as curiosity. Originally, they were full of anger. Because for them, if a new student without systematic knowledge of the secret arts can successfully pass the graduation examination of the secret arts, doesn't this prove that all the knowledge they have taught over the years is useless? This is more than humiliating. Literally 7 feet big, bah. What a shame. That's too much. They will never allow this to happen. But their dean, Mr. Wang, spoke. Require them to cheer and cheer for Lu Zhaoqi, teacher of Secret Art Academy. We have a traitor in our midst. Hateful. Hateful. But, this traitor is actually my immediate boss. That's okay. Lu Zhaoqi is awesome. Lu Zhaoqi is mighty. At first glance, this guy is no ordinary person. They must be at least from class 2 of our Secret Art Academy. Looking at his handsome appearance, a spiritual light spurted out from the Tianling cap. He is a very talented person at such a young age, and he is like a once-in-a-century secret wizard. If one day he is allowed to enter our Secret Art Academy system to learn relevant knowledge, then he will not be able to fly into the sky. By the time Lu Zhaoqi arrived at the venue, the stands in the arena were already packed with people. Seeing him on the stage, the noise became even louder, and you could vaguely hear words scolding him for being sensational. Facing this kind of scene, Lu Zhaoqi didn't panic at all. She walked to the stage with a smile and waved to the audience. Before he even got on stage, he raised his hands like a trumpet and shouted to the stands, "Friends up there, how are you? Thank you all for coming to watch my graduation assessment. Thank you." Drawing a round of boos. Most people don't think highly of him, and they are even more impatient when they see his virtue. Even the few people who supported him were drowned in the huge noise. Okay, student Lu, please don't waste any more time and come on stage quickly. A teacher from the Secret Arts Academy was in charge of the referee. Seeing Lu Zhaoqi's indolence, he couldn't help but shout out. Although he didn't like Lu Zhaoqi in his heart, it was just that this was the person their dean personally requested. No matter how impatient he was, he had to do a good job on the surface. After all, the deans are just sitting up there watching. That's right, there was a row of tables set up on the venue, making it look like a judge's seat. And sitting on the judge's bench were the 5 deans. Not one of them, all 5 deans are here. It seems that they attach great importance to this assessment. After meeting them once, Lu Zhaoqi went to check the information on the campus website and seated the 5 deans one by one. The woman is the dean of the School of Arts, her surname is Ten. She doesn't seem to pay much attention to maintenance, and there are a lot of wrinkles on her face, which makes everyone look cold. The middle-aged man with a big belly that he saw before is from the alchemy school. The dean, whose surname is Li, the dean of the Fighting Academy, is a bit unexpected. He is the thin, white-bearded old man, surnamed Qian. The last one is the ordinary-looking dean of the Ranger Academy, who looks in his early 30s and is slightly bald. Not showing any sharpness, his surname is Tang. In fact, at the beginning of the semester, these deans all gave speeches on stage. It's just that Lu Zhaoqi was drowsy at the time and didn't even raise her eyelids. Naturally, she didn't remember the appearance of these people. It's so funny, I can't even remember the principal, let alone the dean. When Lu Zhaoqi heard what the referee said, she also smiled slightly, jumped onto the field, bowed slightly to the judge's bench, and then said with a smile, "Freshman Lu Zhaoqi, come and report. I am fully prepared for this assessment. Please let your horse come over." Global copy, my talent is called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy Has Bad Luck. Chapter 185. Please. I actually said please. Cry to death. I'm so polite. Lu Zhaoqi fell into self-movement. The referee's face was a little stiff. This guy is so arrogant. He actually asked me to let my horse come over. However, as a referee, he started to explain the assessment content according to the formal procedures. This is the same as what Wang Yanran said before, so I won't repeat it here. Lu Zhaoqi was confident, not afraid at all, and nodded to express understanding. The referee took out 2 sets of puppets from the parcel column, 1 black and 1 red. There are 6 in total, placed in the center of the field, standing opposite each other. The image of this little man is very simple, like a stick figure, with no extra texture on his body, like a shoddy and inferior product. There is only one line of big characters printed on the body, made in Lianjin Institute. Good guy. Made by Alchemy Academy. He turned back and explained to Lu Zhaoqi, these 6 dolls are of equal strength. What you have to do is to use auxiliary skills on one group of dolls to make them defeat the other group of dolls. Note, you can only use skills on one group of dolls, and you cannot cause damage to them. Your assessment score for this item will be determined by the final performance of the doll. If the selected doll defeats the other group and is not damaged, it means you pass successfully. Do you understand? Lu Zhaoqi nodded. Let's start. Choose the puppet you assist first. Lu Zhaoqi casually tapped the red square dolls with her hand. Let's just have them. In ancient times, the red clouds came first and then the black ones. Referee? Which ancient person said this? Why haven't I heard of it? But that wasn't important. He waved his hand to activate the puppet. The puppet's eyes lit up and its body clicked and began to move. Hey, Lu Zhaoqi pulled out the dagger. When the referee saw this, he quickly stopped him. Hey. I didn't make it clear or you didn't hear clearly. Students are not allowed to intervene directly and cannot cause harm to the dolls. This performance fell into the eyes of everyone in the stands and caused a burst of laughter. The secret skill test, this guy is carrying a short sword. Isn't this really meant to be funny? Lu Zhaoqi looked innocent. I will not cause harm to the doll. The referee looked at the dagger in Lu Zhaoqi's hand with a look of disbelief. Lu Zhaoqi explained, you may not believe it, it looks like a short sword, but in fact it is my staff. Cut. I believe you. The people on the stage made disdainful sounds when they heard his sophistry. However, after Lu Zhaoqi said this, the referee had no reason to stop him. He could only keep an eye on Lu Zhaoqi, for fear that he would make illegal operations. The main reason is that just by looking at the doll, I understand that it can't stand his sword. If he really ends up participating, this assessment will naturally be meaningless. Lu Zhaoqi naturally did not violate the rules. He just gently held the sword flower and tapped the red square doll 3 times with the tip of the sword. Holy Protection *3. This was originally a single target buffing skill, but with the CD-free ability brought by Lu Zhaoqi's talent, it turned into a group buff for him. The 3 red villains, with 2 blue and purple elves on their heads, suddenly became stronger and took the lead in taking action, rushing towards the black side with great force. Just listen to crackling, there was a sound. The red side caught the black side and hammered them wildly. The battle was almost one-sided and ended quickly. A face-to-face meeting, the winner is decided. The black doll was dismantled to pieces and fell to the ground twitching. The whole place was a little noisy at first, but now it suddenly became quiet after seeing this result. The strength of these stickmen is actually very poor, even inferior to ordinary people. The black doll is like an old man and woman in his 60s or 70s. He walks tremblingly, fearing that he will fall apart if he takes a few more steps. Naturally, he cannot be the opponent of the red party. Basically, it is all one move. He was instantly killed. The red doll that has eaten Lu Zhaoqi's buff is like an overlord possessing it. When Lu Buletin is still alive, he has the potential to sweep thousands of armies. Lu Zhaoqi was amazed. You must know that generally speaking, buff skills are useless for props such as dolls. Even if it is useful, it will be weakened to a certain extent. Although this stickman looks like a shoddy parallel imported product, the buff of this gain is 80 to 90% taken away. If this technology is put on other dolls, tisk, 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 the terrifying puppet army can probably sweep through the area. There is no doubt that Lu Zhaoqi successfully passed the first assessment. The referee carefully inspected the stick figure on the red side and found no scratches at all. It can be said that it passed with full marks. But he is not qualified to win this point. He looked at the judges' table and said respectfully, "Deans, please give your scores." Several deans were silent for a moment and raised their scoring boards. 10, 10, 10, 10, 9. Almost all perfect scores. To Luzaoki's surprise, the only 9 points was not given by Dean 10, a middle-aged woman who had a mean look before. But Wang Yanran did it herself. When she saw Luzaoki looking towards her, he couldn't help but raise his eyebrows and twitch the corners of his mouth. As if to say, I give this item 9 points, 1 point less because I am afraid you will be proud. Luzaoki passed the first assessment with an astonishing 9.8 points. The referee announced the result in public. There was a commotion at the scene, but no one questioned this result. After all, they also saw the performance just now, and it was indeed impeccable. The only thing worthy of criticism is that he actually used a dagger to unleash the secret technique. Let's start the second assessment. The referee first asked Luzaoki if he needed to rest. After receiving a negative answer, he announced the start of the second assessment. This time he did not take out new props, but took back the red puppet, then pointed at the black stick figures scattered on the ground and said, "Your second test is to use recovery skills to restore the previously damaged doll." Luzaoki. Good guy. You really are this. Luzaoki gave a thumbs up in her mind and was a little speechless at the person who formulated the assessment content. Feelings, your garbage recycling and reuse is not wasteful at all, is it? And if you do this, the harder I hit you before, the more you will suffer now. Hateful. But complaints are complaints. Luzaoki is still fearless. He walked up to the stickman and pointed his dagger. Stars shine. For the first time, the healing skills rated S showed their talents in front of everyone. I saw the light of the arena suddenly dim. Starlight lit up the arena. Like a starry sky rising. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Global copy, my talent is called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy Has Bad Luck. Chapter 186. If someone could look through the roof of the arena, they could see that even though it was daytime, the twinkling stars could still be faintly seen in the sky, seeming to complement the light on the arena. Even if no one notices this change, just seeing the bright light rising from the field is enough to move people's hearts. Wow, so beautiful, a girl in the stands couldn't help but exclaimed. In this gorgeous starlight, the black stick figure, which was already on the verge of falling apart, was dragged up by an invisible force, and its broken limbs were reconnected, and soon returned to their original state. Wang Yanran watched Luzaoki's performance with a calm face, but her heart was a little turbulent. He secretly said, as expected. This assessment is not just as simple as Wang Yanran using Luzaoki to block the knife. It was also a test for Luzaoki. Because this young man was so strong that even she, a strong person like Sun Yao, couldn't see through him. Through her best friend Zhao Xueqing's description of Luzaoki, she vaguely discovered something was wrong with Luzaoki. That's why the invitation was sent to Luzaoki before the college entrance examination. Although Luzaoki was outstanding before she awakened her talent, she still ignored her. And Zhao Xueqing said that his strength improved greatly, and the first turning point only happened after he acquired the skills. A skill that was originally supposed to be of average power and somewhat tasteless had undergone earth-shaking changes in his hands. Possessing terrifying power. It was with this ability that he successfully passed the adventurer assessment and even survived the crisis in the initial copy. Unlike Zhao Xueqing had always guessed that someone else was helping Luzaoki, allowing him to obtain better and more powerful skills and props. But Wang Yanran, who is well informed, knows that this is not something that ordinary skills and props can do. The most fundamental reason lies in Luzioki herself. She analyzed Luzioki's current skills based on the information she had. Charged slash, parry, basic throwing mastery, way of the drifter, way of the hunt, soul reaper, guardian of the stars, psalm chanting. Information from Zhao Sueking, not comprehensive. Combined with Luzioki's series of performances, we can deduce there must be a very powerful ability hidden in him. This ability can change existing skills to be more powerful. This can also explain why he has so many powerful skills inexplicably. Each one seems to be similar to the skills he possesses but with different powers. For example, his charged slash can slash nearly 100 meters of sword energy through the void, his parry can directly attract enemies to his side, his Star Guardian can heal multiple targets at once. Excellent response. This is probably caused by his talent. Although Zhao Sueking said that his talent is at a gray level, Luzioki has never disclosed information about his talent to anyone. Wang Yanran looked calm on the surface, but there was a hint of wit in her eyes that could see through everything. The scheming frog keeps touching your belly. There is only one truth. Luzioki's talent is not a gray talent at all. It is a very rare enhanced talent. By paying a certain price, the skill can be upgraded to a more powerful form. That's why he never showed his talent, and never mentioned his talent to others. That's why his skills are so powerful, almost unreasonable. The starlight dissipated, and only Luzioki stood on the field with a smile. There was an uproar in the stands. It only took a few seconds from the starlight to the end. Many people were in a trance, still immersed in the gorgeous starry sky scene, only to find that everything was over. The referee stared blankly at the three intact dolls and couldn't help but rub his eyes. The second assessment is over. It seems that Luzioki's place in the competition is guaranteed. All the beneficial buffs that Luzioki could imagine can be seen on this statue. When he looked at the statue again, he couldn't help but be a little stunned. When he downloads a dungeon in the future, he is afraid that he will be chased by others and begged to form a team. Okay. Then let's start the third assessment. It turns out that all the lights flashing on the statue are powerful buffs. Such quick treatment, such outstanding abilities, such excellent teammates. There are those that increase defense, those that increase blood volume, those that increase recovery, those that increase damage. As he spoke, he took out a huge statue from the parcel column. The most important thing is that every 3 seconds, the light on the statue will flash, and his eye of true knowledge will see it clearly. Even if he is just a freshman who has just entered the university, even if he has not gone through the systematic study of the Academy of Secret Arts. Even if it's just a formality. With such an outstanding student studying at Takeo University, he feels honored for Takeo University and sad for his secret art academy, being slapped in the face. It can be said that he has mixed feelings. The so-called purification effect is to clear the debuff on the target. He knew that at this moment, the assessment was over. There was a boom sound in the middle of the field. In such a short period of time, use group healing skills to restore 3 stickmen to their original appearance. Even if the third assessment is not conducted, Luzioki's first 2 assessments are enough to pass the assessment. They looked at Luzioki with satisfaction in their eyes and started talking among themselves. There is no suspense, Luzioki passed the assessment with a perfect score of 10. Luzioki's ability has surpassed 99.9% of the students in the Secret Art Academy. That's such a purifying effect. Luzioki's eyes flashed. The referee put away the stick figure, turned to Luzioki and said in a deep voice, "You have successfully passed the second assessment, do you need to rest?" Not only are the partners relieved, but the deans on the stage are also very relieved. This is no ordinary statue at all. It's hard not to reassure my partners. Luzioki shook her head, there was no need at all. The referee looked at Luzaoki on the stage with a complicated mood. This time no one can find anything wrong with him. This is clearly a statue that only appears in Wang Wei's poems. Eye of True Knowledge activates. Countless brilliant colors flashed on the statue, almost covering up its original appearance. Even so, the assessment that should be conducted still needs to be carried out. This time is a test of your spell. Global copy, my talent is called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy Has Bad Luck. Chapter 187. Ahem, this is a prop used by Ardeen to practice secret techniques before he was promoted to Sun Yao. The referee coughed and explained. Because of the law, multiple buffs have been fixed on it. All you have to do is cast a spell on the statue. Depending on the strength of the spell you cast, the light flashing on the statue will also change. The stronger the spell, the dimmer the statue's light will become. We will evaluate your assessment score based on the strength of your spell and the effective time of the statue. Do you understand? Luzaoki nodded, indicating that he understood. This assessment is nothing more than a test where the student's spells compete with the buffs on the statues. The student's spell is strong enough to suppress the buff on the statue and offset the purification effect every 3 seconds. Until the purification effect completely removes the spell he cast. Okay then. The referee waved his hand, the assessment will now officially begin. To be honest, now that the assessment has been carried out, he is looking forward to what kind of amazing operations this new student can bring to him. Luzaoki looked serious and slowly drew out the dagger again. This time no one questioned him using the dagger to unleash the secret technique. He has already used his actions to slap those who doubted him in the face. Facts have proved that even if he has no magic book, no staff, no magic stone, and a short sword that has nothing to do with the secret arts, he can still release such powerful healing and auxiliary skills. If you don't wear related equipment, you won't be able to enjoy the equipment's bonus to related skills, such as the staff adding spell skills and magic damage, and the magic stone and magic book adding healing effects. In the stands, everyone was watching him, watching what new tricks this alternative freshman could play in the next assessment. Several deans were also looking forward to it. They sat on the judge's bench and involuntarily leaned forward a little, as if this way they could see Luzaoki's next operation more clearly. Luzaoki was taking a deep breath. He held the dagger tightly. The transparent sword body began to emit a faint light. This light was not dazzling, but very soft, but colorful, and it seemed that it was not simple. He slowly stepped forward and stood in front of the statue, his momentum began to rise. The referee on the side also held his breath involuntarily. It seemed as if he had a premonition that he would make some shocking move next. Really? Luzaoki paused and slowly raised his right hand holding the sword. In an instant, he violently used a move to mercilessly throw the confession balloon of the Mississippi River Amazon. The dagger turned into 9 afterimages and hit the statue with a clanging sound. He actually used the dagger as a hidden weapon and threw it directly at the statue. The referee opened his mouth wide and was confused by his move. Brother. They asked you to cast a spell on the statue, but they didn't ask you to cast a flying sword on the statue. But there is only one dagger, so why are there 9 afterimages? Am I hallucinating? Seeing Luzaoki's actions, everyone at the scene fell silent, and the next moment there was an uproar. What is he going to do? Give up? But before they could figure out what Luzaoki wanted to do, the light lingering on the statue suddenly dimmed, like a light bulb with poor contact. After flickering for a while, they all went out. Not only that, a trace of black energy began to spread on the statue, as if it was cursed. The dean at the judges' table. Audience in the stands. Referee. What are you doing? The corner of Luzaoki's mouth raised slightly, and she called out to the stunned referee, I have finished casting the spell, and the result can be announced. As he spoke, he raised his hand and the Jindan monk's powerful magic pulled the 9 daggers stuck on the statue and flew back towards him. The moment he approached him, all the other 8 daggers disappeared, leaving only the last dagger body, which returned to its scabbard. The referee was dumbfounded by his so-called spell and was a little at a loss for a moment. What kind of spell is this? This was clearly an attack on the statue. However, don't worry about what he did, but he did follow the requirements and annihilated the eternal buff attached to the statue, and also released a curse to remain on it. If you just look at it, let alone passing the last test, it can be said to be unprecedented. There will be no more visitors in the future. Because the statues used as assessment tools were destroyed by him. It is worth mentioning that after Lu Zhaoqi extinguished the light on the statue, the true face of the statue in Mount Lu was finally revealed. It's actually a 1-to-1 ratio statue of Wang. It's just that at this moment, he used his dagger to leave 9 big, heartbreaking holes in the statue. It is estimated that the original material was very ordinary, but it became extraordinary and difficult to destroy because of the power of Ant Wang's rules. And Lu Zhaoqi's flying sword came with the clearing buff effect of everything is allowed, which directly wiped away all the extraordinary power on the statue, returning it to its essence, so it became fragile. Only then did the dagger thrown by Lu Zhaoqi pierce 9 large holes. But you really can't tell, this old ant is quite narcissistic. Lu Zhaoqi chuckled and complained secretly in his heart. Before he could finish cursing, he heard a click. The cracks on the statue spread rapidly and spread all over the body in the blink of an eye. With the last scream, the statue completely collapsed and shattered into a pile of debris. Lu Zhaoqi. Not good. There is murderous intent. Lu Zhaoqi subconsciously shrank her neck and secretly glanced at the judge's table. As expected, Wang Yanran lowered her eyebrows and lowered her eyes, filled with murderous intent. Lu Zhaoqi seemed to be able to see bursts of black energy rising behind her. He trembled, hid behind the referee, and shouted, "Can we announce the result?" The referee also noticed Wang Yanran's expression and swallowed hard. He said stiffly, "There is some controversy in this assessment, and I would like to ask the dean to give his assessment. The method used by student Lu is an unconventional spell. Will this assessment count?" "Count it? Why don't you count it?" The pot-bellied Dean Li was the first to speak. He looked at Lu Zhaoqi with a smile, nodded approvingly, and said, "Black and white cats, any cat that can catch mice is a good cat. Classmate Lu's spells are an eye-opener for me." After he finished speaking, Dean Jian with white beard also clapped his hands and smiled, "That's right. I recognize this child's ability." In the blink of an eye, the 4 deans all expressed their opinions and approved his third assessment. Wang Yanran said nothing, but it was no longer important. The referee breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Please give your scores, deans." Global copy, My talent is called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy Has Bad Luck. Chapter 188. That night, the Lu family siblings were sitting in the dining room eating. My sister suddenly asked with some gossip, "Hey, Zhaoqi, has something big happened in your school recently?" Lu Zhaoqi raised her eyebrows, "Oh? What's wrong? What's the big deal? Why didn't I know?" Lu Wanyi told him enthusiastically, "I heard an old man talking when I went to buy groceries today. It seems that this year there is a new student who applied to participate in the graduation examination of the Academy of Secret Arts just after the semester started. The scariest thing is that he actually survived. The score is very, very high." Lu Zhaoqi puffed out her chest, looked proud, and was about to confess to her sister. "Yes, that's right. That person is just me." Then he heard his sister say again. But later he seemed to be beaten by the Dean of the Academy of Secret Arts. Lu Zhaoqi's chest that had just puffed up immediately collapsed. He buried his head and took 2 mouthfuls of rice, swallowing the words that came to his lips together. Lu Wanyi didn't notice the change in Lu Zioki's expression, but asked a little strangely, "Zioki, didn't you even know about this at school?" "Have no idea. I've never heard of it at all." Lu Zioki shook her head crazily. "Oh, okay," Lu Wanyi nodded regretfully and sighed, "I still want to find out the inside story from you. A dean shouldn't hit someone for no reason. The student must have done something excessive," Lu Wanyi said firmly. Lu Zioki ate with her head down, plucking food into her mouth. His sister's words reminded him of the horrific experience at that time. In fact, at first, Wang Yanran had no intention of taking action. Even if her statue was damaged by someone. At that time, the referee had already announced the results of his third assessment. Everyone in the audience was shocked and talked a lot. Many people believe that he set a unique record at Tokyo University. Everyone was shocked and excited to witness the birth of this record. At this moment, the white-bearded dean of the Fighting Academy actually said to Wang Yanran cheerfully, "Hey! Girl Wang, your little boyfriend is quite awesome. He is worthy of you." "Boyfriend? What kind of boyfriend?" Wang Yanran was confused when she heard it. He looked at Dean Jian inexplicably, frowned and said, "What are you talking about?" Lu Zioki, who has very keen ears, heard the conversation between the two clearly. He immediately realized something was wrong and quickly retreated, preparing to play yo-yo. But he didn't run away and was caught by the referee on the spot. He was told that he couldn't leave now and had to wait for the Dean of the Academy of Secret Arts, Wang Yanran, to announce the final result. How dare Lu Zioki wait? Where are you waiting for the results of the assessment? This is obviously waiting for news of his own death. However, before he could get rid of the referee's entanglement, he heard the upright Dean Jian lower his expression, his face turned serious, and he snorted. "What are you still hiding? We all know it. Wasn't this young man recruited by you when you went to Chengdu? I'm going to talk to you nicely now, girl Wang. How could you hook up with a young man and then ignore him after entering the academy? We can all see that person crying in front of your office. It's not good of you to start chaos and then give up. It's really insulting and ruins the ethos of our school." The other deans also nodded subconsciously. "When I ate this melon, it was so delicious. In front of the office? Cry." Wang Yanran's face darkened instantly. She immediately remembered the last incident and quickly understood the whole story. No wonder when I asked him what he was doing outside the door, he kept hesitating and said nothing. It turns out that he, actually dared to. The referee did not realize that something was wrong at this moment. Facing his big leader, he nodded and bowed, and was about to say hello, but was forced to take 2 steps back by Dean Wang's strong aura. "Don't want to fight? When did you become my little boyfriend? Please everyone leave the scene in an orderly manner." Lu Zioki gave up struggling. "Oh haha. Done. That's cheers for him. Because Wang Yanran has already walked to the stage." Hey Mr. Lu," she smiled solemnly and said in a strange tone, "please explain." Faced with such strong air pressure, he could only tremble for a while and did not dare to speak. Lu Zioki also looked at Wang Yanran with fear, not daring to say a word. Wang Yanran stood up abruptly and looked at Lu with gritted teeth. Wang Yanran didn't even look at him, she walked straight in front of Lu Zioki, looked at Lu Zioki coldly, and said nothing. Many people stood up and cheered excitedly once again, as if they were witnessing the birth of a miracle. Even though countless people had disliked Lu Zioki before, there was only one voice at this moment. Lu Zioki sighed and did not retort. She closed her eyes resignedly and said, "Let's make an agreement first. Can we not slap you in the face this time?" Wang Yanran didn't care at all about a certain referee who had used his escape technique to disappear. He just looked at Lu Zioki expressionlessly, and the cheers and cheers around him gradually disappeared. "The wind is blowing. At this moment, everyone in the stands noticed Wang Yanran standing up suddenly, thinking that she was going to announce something, so the scene became quiet. Amidst the cheers of everyone, Lu Zioqi looked a little gloomy. "Why did I give up on you all the time? That's good. Thank you Queen for showing mercy and sparing my life." Wang Yanran looked around and saw that most of the students had already evacuated, then turned back to look at Lu Zioqi. "Let us congratulate students Lu, Xiao and Qi, gritting teeth, for successfully passing the assessment." Wang Yanran said slowly, "Don't worry, I won't hit you this time." Lu, Xiao, Qi. The two were in a stalemate for a long time. The students evacuated the arena in an orderly manner under the organization of the staff. Today's secret skill test has ended. Only then did the referee realize that something was wrong and said quickly, "Oops. I have a bad stomach after eating this morning. Let me go to the toilet." In the blink of an eye, there were only a few kittens left in the huge arena. Several deans looked at each other. Could it be that there was something more hidden in this matter? Dean Qian stopped speaking. Looking at Wang Yanran's reaction, he suddenly felt that something was wrong with the situation. Wang Yanran also realized this, took a deep breath, took the microphone on the judge's bench, suddenly smiled, and said slowly, "You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Global copy, my talent is called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy Has Bad Luck. Chapter 189. Lu Zioqi just wanted to breathe a sigh of relief. But he found that the statue behind him that had turned into rubble began to tremble, as if it was controlled by an invisible force and was suspended in mid-air. The rubble spun in the air and began to assemble like an Autobot transforming. It was quickly restored to a proportional portrait that was the same as Wang Yanran's. The figure's whole body shone with light and began to move. It slowly walked up to Lu Zioqi, and in a very vivid way, he clasped his fists with his hands and cracked his phalanges. Wang Yanran pursed her lips, "Here, it's the one who did it? Lu Zioqi. Is it too late to call for help now?" He was about to turn around and run away, but he was grabbed by someone and was thrown over his shoulder. Boom! The earth was shaking. Smoke and dust filled the air, and those who had not yet evacuated looked towards the center of the field in surprise. "You know, the school's arena is restricted by the big guys and is very solid and difficult to shake. Don't talk about smoke and earthquakes. Even a duel between two powerful men at the level of 2 radiances cannot damage this place at all. But at this moment, boom, boom, boom." Lu Zioqi seemed stunned by the blow and did not struggle to resist. At this moment, the only sound that could be heard was that he was being picked up and smashed on the ground. Several deans who were watching the theater came over at this moment. Dean Qian stroked his white beard, frowned and was about to say something. Wang Yanran turned around and glared at him, shouting, "Shut up. It has nothing to do with you that I taught my little boyfriend a lesson." She said coldly, "This is my family matter, you have nothing to do with it. If you talk too much, I'll beat you too." 4 deans. The chubby Dean Li took out his handkerchief and wiped his sweat, then coughed and said, "Well, I still have something to do, so I'll take the first step." As he spoke, he didn't dare to look at the miserable Lu Zioqi, and could only say in his heart, "Take care, young man. This is the consequence of provoking a strong female Sun Yao. So no matter what, you can't let your sister know about this." Lu Zioqi ate with her head down. "Can't make a sound at all. I just said I didn't know, so I can't quibble at this time. Oh my God. Sister, when did you become so nosy? Not cute anymore, not even a little bit cute." Fortunately, the chat about this matter ended here. Since my sister couldn't get any inside information from Lu Zioqi, and seeing his lack of interest in this matter, she quickly changed the topic. After the meal, Luzioki helped her sister clear the table and wash the dishes. After everything was cleaned up, he poked his head out of the kitchen and looked at Lu Wanyi, who was humming a song and turning on the TV, and secretly made up his mind. When my sister recovers, I must find a place for her to go to school. We can't let her sit idle like this. Ding dong. At this time, Luzioki, who had just walked to the living room, heard her cell phone ring. He thought it was the counselor sending another message, so he clicked it without looking carefully. Since the last campus card incident, this counselor has been avoiding Luzioki. It seems that he has done something wrong and is a little afraid of the right person. Usually notifications are sent via phone calls or text messages. But this time it was different from what Luzioki had imagined. The number has not been remarked. When you click on the message, a voice message will start playing automatically. A sexy, mature, and charming voice came from inside. "Junior brother Lu, is it convenient for you to come out tonight?" Lu Wanyi was half lying on the soft sofa watching the Fat House drama Silly Music on TV. When she heard the movement here, her ears immediately perked up. Her eyes immediately locked onto Luzioki, and the expression on her face became a little subtle. Luzioki. This Chuyugzun. I shouldn't have left her my contact information in the first place. Luzioki cursed in her heart, blaming herself for not being able to resist pestering her and giving her her contact information. However, his face was calm, and he even had a slight smile. He held the phone calmly and turned on the voice function. "No, Senior Chu, I have a toilet at home. It's convenient for me at home. Click send." Lu Wanyi. She let out a small breath. He glanced at Luzioki, feeling a little amused for some reason. This stupid brother of my own has no way of being dealt with by the bad women outside. What's the word for it? Right? Straight man of steel. Hee. Hey, troubles entered my ears. I shook my head and shook the troubles out. He is now walking around the school, and 9 out of 10 people will be startled when they see him, point at him and exclaim, "Isn't this that so and so?" For example, a certain senior who is becoming more and more interested in him, Chuyugzun. Every day in class, someone brings him drinks and seats, and many girls even greet him eagerly. So he was forced to go out and put on a mask and a hat, acting like a thief. The attitude of the classmates towards him changed again. The people in the class looked at him with eager eyes. If you offend him, you can use a land-style flying sword spell with your backhand. Luzioki also breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at his sister, who started to have fun for some reason, he also raised the corners of his mouth slightly, shook his head slightly and turned to leave. Probably because they were afraid of having a bad impact on the school suppressed the rumors about the second incident. Even if a small amount of the video was circulated, it quickly disappeared. Let me explain a little here. Chu is positioned as a supporting female character. The reason why there are so many scenes is to set up the plot, and she will not become the heroine. The specific description is like a licking dog meeting a goddess. The commotion caused by Luzioki's passing the graduation examination of the Secret Art Academy as a freshman was bigger than he imagined. Not worth it, not worth it. However, very few people witnessed this follow-up. Apart from a few faculty members and deans, only the handful of students at the end knew about it. Even my sister, who is not a member of the school, knows about it, so you can imagine. Of course, there is no way to completely eliminate rumors, but it also effectively prevents the fermentation of public opinion. Most people know that he passed the examination with very exaggerated results, and it is even said that he set a record in the secretarial college graduation examination, which is enough to be recorded in the school's history. In any case, Luzioki is completely famous. What's more, it actually includes classmates who are not in their class. It's just that there are always 1 or 2 people who take chances and jump repeatedly on the edge of danger, testing wildly. Only then could the situation be barely controlled. A small number of people knew what happened next. He was pressed to the ground and rubbed by an angry dean for a full stick of incense. When they found out that he was the top scorer in the college entrance examination in Dragon Kingdom, a few people were a little dissatisfied. For example, some senior students. Everyone became in awe of him. Luzaoki only felt numb and couldn't enjoy it at all. And when it came time for him to pass the secret arts graduation examination as a freshman. Even if you don't die, you have to lose half your life. Although the student Lu has a good milk supply, he also has a bad temper. Until he knocked down the fighting teacher with one fist. Fortunately, after his righteous rejection, most of the students came to their senses. Global copy, my talent is called Wind Spirit Moon Shadow. Author, Crying Boy Has Bad Luck. Chapter 190. After class that day, Luzaoki just came downstairs when he saw a gorgeous figure. He paused, a little speechless. This person is really persistent. I rejected her so obviously, and she came to find me. Girl. Being a dog licker will never end well. Sincere words. JPG. Chuyugzun blocked the sunlight slightly with her hands and searched for something in the crowd. When she saw Luzaoki, her eyes lit up and she ran straight towards him. Even though Luzaoki was now wearing a cap and a mask, Chuyugzun could still recognize him at a glance among the crowd. After all, a charming man like Luzaoki is like a firefly in the dark, no matter where he goes, so bright and outstanding. His Hello Kitty t-shirt, rugged denim shorts, uninhibited temperament, and the Wangzhe milk in his hand all deeply attracted Chuyugzun. Provincial description, distinctive characteristics and easy to identify. Junior Lu, oh haha. She wore a light yellow dress today, with light makeup on her face, and a charming smile. She walked step by step to Luzaoki's side. Luzaoki couldn't help but glance at her a few more times. Don't tell me, this girl is really dressed up like that. Perhaps noticing Luzaoki's gaze, Chuyugzun spun around in front of Luzaoki, her skirt flying. Then she stopped and asked Luzaoki proudly, "Does this look good on me?" Luzaoki saw everyone around him casting stunning glances at the girl. He was afraid of attracting others' attention, so he quickly turned around and left. Luzaoki, the girl chased after him and said slightly angrily, "I'm talking to you." Luzaoki said seriously, "If the full score is 10, then I can only give you an 8.8. Chuyugzun couldn't help but ask curiously, "Huh? Why?" "Because, I think, you are doing something like this," Luzaoki said. Chuyugzun. The girl pouted, with an angry expression on her face. But Luzaoki didn't even look back, and her steps didn't slow down at all. Seeing this, Chuyugzun quickly chased after him. "Hey! Why are you leaving so fast? Just wait for me." The girl trotted all the way to the lake, and finally stopped Luzaoki, who was driving the meteor. Seeing this, Luzaoki had no choice but to stop and look sideways to admire the scenery by the lake. Chuyugzun's rank is undoubtedly very high. She didn't care at all when she saw Luzaoki not paying much attention to her, and she wouldn't just ask stupidly, "Luzaoki, are you avoiding me?" With a smile on her face, she seemed not to care about Luzaoki's previous behavior. She stood with Luzaoki and looked at the scenery on the lake. The sun had just risen at this moment, and the fog on the lake had not completely dispersed. Wisps of sunlight broke through the mist and hit the clear lake, creating halos. "So beautiful," Chuyugzun sighed softly. As she spoke, her little hand slowly moved to the side, trying to grab Luzaoki's palm. But this time, I got nothing. At some point, Luzaoki had already turned around, walking forward slowly without any sound of wind under her feet. Chuyugzun. Chuyugzun looked at Luzaoki's retreating back and did not try to catch up again. She just kicked her foot and said through gritted teeth, "Humph. I can't hold the sand, no. Suddenly, she smiled again, but this is the funniest thing, he. Some time passed. The turmoil caused by Luzaoki gradually subsided without anyone adding fuel to the fire. Before he could breathe a sigh of relief, Lin Yujia found him. At that time, Luzaoki had just finished a big class. During the break, a petite figure appeared at the door. She cautiously poked her head around the class. After seeing Luzaoki sitting safely in the classroom, she seemed relieved, coughed on purpose, and said softly, "Classmate Luzaoki, please come out." The counselor seemed a bit timid. Her voice was too weak and was completely lost in the noisy classroom. Many people didn't even notice her existence. Luzaoki noticed it. He didn't know what the counselor was up to, so he deliberately pretended not to hear. After all, the last time she asked her to stay, she made such a big fool of herself. Although he could not pass all the blame on her, in Luzaoki's heart, this timid counselor was also labeled as troublesome. So he didn't want to talk to the other party at all. Lin Yujia couldn't help but blush when she saw that her shouting didn't make any waves in the class. She sniffed, her voice a little louder, and repeated again, "Classmate Luzaoki, please come out." Still no one paid attention to her. Even many students who heard her voice just looked back at her and then lowered their heads to mess with their own things. Lin Yujia. She swished and her eyes turned red. Tears were swirling inside, as if they might fall at any time. Hey, Luzaoki hated this expression the most. Because it always reminds him of the delicate sister he once was. He sighed, stood up, walked slowly to the counselor, and said lazily, "What's wrong? What do you want from me?" His tall figure completely covered Lin Yujia's petite body. Lin Yujia raised her head and glanced at the careless student, and took 2 steps back with some flinch. Then she realized that she had acted sincerely, and she couldn't hold back her face. So she gritted her teeth and took 2 steps forward, then looked at Luzaoki with wide eyes and a straight face. It seems that this can show the last dignity of her counselor. I'm here to inform you, you will gather at the arena at 2 o'clock this afternoon." "No, you are not allowed to be late," she mustered up the courage to say loudly. Although her voice was only a little louder than normal speaking volume, it seemed that all her energy had been spent, and she even stuttered a bit when speaking, as if her tongue was not straightened. After saying one sentence, she seemed to have completed the task, and she breathed a sigh of relief instantly. This person changed from a little squirrel with fried hair to a timid little hamster. Luzaoki noticed a detail. "She changed you to you this time. Good. Good." Seeing the growth of his counselor, Mr. Lu was very pleased, so he nodded and asked deliberately, "What?" "We gather at the gymnasium, bring your own cement." "Do you want to dance too?" Ah, Lin Yujia was confused. "Bring your own cement? Dance?"